The cargo bay of the transport station reeked of fuel and unwashed bodies. Marcus Webb shouldered his supply pack and navigated through the crowd of miners, traders, and drifters that populated Outpost 7. The frontier station orbited a gas giant on the edge of civilized space, a place where humanity's reach grew thin and questions were rarely asked. He nearly stepped on the creature. It lay curled against a discarded crate, no larger than a house cat, but covered in midnight blue scales that shimmered even under the harsh fluorescent lights. 6 legs tucked beneath a serpentine body, and a crest of bone-like protrusions crowned its narrow head. The thing was shivering. Marcus crouched down. The creature's eyes opened, revealing pupils that split vertically like shattered amber. It hissed weakly, barely a whisper of sound. "Easy there," Marcus muttered. He'd seen plenty of strange things in his 5 years on the frontier, but nothing quite like this. The creature tried to bare its teeth, tiny fangs no bigger than needles, but the threat was hollow. It was starving. He glanced around the bay. No one paid attention to the small alien predator slowly dying in the corner. Frontier justice, he supposed. If it couldn't survive, it had no business being here. Marcus pulled a ration bar from his pack and broke off a piece. The creature's nostrils flared. It lunged with surprising speed, snatching the morsel and retreating to gulp it down. Those amber eyes fixed on him with sudden intensity. "Hungry, huh?" Marcus broke off another piece. "Yeah, me too, buddy." 3 days later, the creature had taken up residence in his quarters, a cramped compartment, barely large enough for a bunk and storage locker. Marcus had named it Spike, though he suspected the alien predator would object to such a mundane title if it could speak. The thing was growing fast, already twice the size it had been when he found it. Its scales had regained their luster, and the bone crest had developed sharp points. Spike demonstrated remarkable intelligence. It learned to use the waste disposal unit within hours. It understood when Marcus was preparing to leave for his shift and would wait by the door. And it had developed an alarming habit of hunting the station's rat population, leaving partially eaten carcasses as gifts outside the quarters. "You've got to stop doing that," Marcus said, disposing of another unfortunate rodent. Spike tilted its head, clearly not understanding the problem. In its mind, it was contributing to the household. By the second week, Spike had grown to the size of a large dog. Station security started asking questions. Marcus registered it as an exotic pet, paying the exorbitant fees and bribing the inspector to overlook certain irregularities in the paperwork. Nobody looked too closely at anything on Outpost 7 if you had enough credits. The creature's predatory nature became more apparent as it matured. It would track movement with laser focus, muscles coiling beneath those iridescent scales. But it never turned that hunting instinct on Marcus. Instead, Spike seemed to have adopted him as part of its pack or family unit, or whatever social structure its species followed. Marcus taught it tricks, more to keep it mentally stimulated than anything else. Spike learned to retrieve objects, to come when called, even to distinguish between Marcus's work equipment and personal belongings. The creature was smarter than any earth animal he'd encountered. At night, Spike would curl up at the foot of his bunk, a warm weight that rumbled with something almost like purring. Marcus found the sound comforting, a reminder that he wasn't entirely alone in the cold vacuum of space. The trouble started when the Imperial fleet arrived. 3 warships dropped out of hyperspace, their hulls bearing the spiral insignia of the Valkyrian Empire. The station went into immediate lockdown. No ships in or out until the Imperials completed their business. Marcus watched from the observation deck as elegant shuttles detached from the lead warship. He'd never seen Valkyrian vessels up close before. Humanity had only established formal contact with the Empire 2 years ago, and relations remained distant, almost cold. Spike pressed against his leg, scales rippling with agitation. The creature had never been nervous before. "Easy," Marcus said, scratching behind the bone crest. "Just some visitors." But Spike's distress only increased as the Imperial delegation entered the station. The creature's body language screamed of recognition and fear in something else Marcus couldn't quite identify. Longing, perhaps. The summons came that evening. "Report to the station commander's office immediately." Marcus left Spike locked in his quarters, ignoring the creature's mournful cries. The commander's office had been transformed into something resembling a throne room. Station personnel stood at rigid attention along the walls. And seated in the center, upon a hastily assembled dais, was the Empress herself. Marcus had seen images of Vicarian nobility before, but no hologram could capture the reality. She stood nearly 7 feet tall, her form humanoid but clearly alien. 4 arms adorned with jewelry that probably cost more than the entire station. Her skin held a faint violet hue, and her eyes were solid black, reflecting no light. "You are Marcus Webb," she said. Her voice bypassed his ears entirely, speaking directly into his mind. "You possess something that belongs to me." Marcus's throat went dry. "Your Majesty, I don't know what you mean." One of her attendants stepped forward, projecting a hologram into the air. It showed a creature identical to Spike, though smaller, wearing a collar studded with gems. "My companion," the Empress said. "Stolen from my personal quarters 3 months ago. The thieves' ship crashed near this station. I have searched every system on this frontier, and now I have found it." The pieces fell into place. Spike wasn't just some random predator. It was the Empire's equivalent of a royal pet, probably worth more than Marcus would earn in 100 lifetimes. "I found it dying in the cargo bay," Marcus said carefully. "I didn't know it belonged to anyone. And yet you kept it, fed it, trained it." The Empress's mental voice carried no anger, only cold assessment. "By Imperial law, I could execute you for theft." Marcus straightened his spine. 5 years on the frontier had taught him that showing fear to predators only encouraged them. By human law, abandoned animals become property of whoever provides them care. "I saved its life." The silence stretched for an eternity. Then the Empress made a sound that might have been laughter. "Bring it here," she commanded. They escorted Marcus back to his quarters under guard. Spike threw itself at him the moment the door opened, scales flashing with agitation. It took several minutes to calm the creature enough to attach a leash. The walk back to the commander's office felt like a death march. Spike resisted every step, claws scraping against the deck plating. It only moved forward because Marcus coaxed it along. The moment they entered the office, everything changed. Spike caught sight of the Empress and released a sound Marcus had never heard before, a complex trill that resonated through his chest. The creature surged forward, breaking free from his grip, and bounded across the room. The Empress descended from her dais. She dropped to one knee, all 4 arms spreading wide. Spike leaped into her embrace, and for a moment, the most powerful being in 100 systems was simply someone reunited with a lost friend. Marcus watched the reunion with an unexpected ache in his chest. He'd known this moment would come, had known Spike wasn't really his, but that didn't make it easier. The Empress stood, cradling Spike in her lower arms, while her upper hand stroked the bone crest. She looked at Marcus with those bottomless black eyes. "You could have sold it," she said. "On the black market, a royal companion would fetch enough credits for a lifetime of luxury. Instead, you gave it a home, taught it, loved it," Marcus shrugged. "It was just the right thing to do." "Humans," the Empress said, and this time there was warmth in her mental voice. "Your species continues to surprise us. You possess no telepathy, no natural weapons, no exceptional strength. Yet you survive through stubbornness and compassion in equal measure." She gestured, and an attendant brought forward a small chest. Your reward. Enough to purchase a ship of your own, should you desire. And something else. The Empress pressed her hand to Spike's head. The creature shuddered, then turned to look at Marcus with new awareness in those amber eyes. I have given it the ability to find you, should you ever need aid. And I have made it understand the debt we owe. The Empress bowed her head slightly, a gesture that sent the station personnel into shocked silence. The Empire does not forget its friends, Marcus Webb. You saved what is precious to me. That makes you precious to us. The Imperial delegation departed the next day. Marcus stood at the observation deck, watching the warships leap back into hyperspace. His quarters felt emptier than they ever had before. But in his pocket was a small device, crystalline and warm to the touch. The Empress's gift. A direct line of communication to the Imperial throne, for emergencies only. And in his account was enough wealth to leave the frontier forever, to return to Earth or any of the colony worlds, to live in comfort for the rest of his days. Marcus looked down at the device, and out at the stars. Somewhere out there, Spike was probably being fed delicacies from across the Empire, sleeping on cushions worth more than this entire station. The creature deserved that life. But for just a moment, Marcus could swear he heard a phantom rumble, that almost purring sound that meant contentment,